Hey everybody, it's Aunt Bibi. Today is Saturday, December 19th, 2020. I'm Barbara Hammer. So today I want to talk about WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, and even the anonymous hacker group, and the China connection. Um, so, first of all, I want to mention this James O'Keefe, Project Veritas release of this phone call that Julian Assange made to Hillary Clinton's State Department back in 2011. And this is before Cablegate, the release of the State Department cables. Um, so people got all excited about this Project Veritas um, release. And I got suspicious right away when I saw that it was James O'Keefe and Project Veritas because that's yet another intelligence psyop on top of CI, CIAssange, as I call him, WikiLeaks psyop, the Snowden psyop, anonymous psyop. So this is another psyop. So obviously they got this recording from the folks at WikiLeaks because you can hear at the beginning before Assange makes the phone call. He's talking to a staffer. I forget her name is Sarah Harrison, I believe. Yeah, so before they make the phone call, you can hear them talking a little bit, and then the call is made. So it's interesting that he's able to get through so easily to the State Department and to talk to someone and to warn them. So this is James O'Keefe running defense for another Intel psyop, a fellow Intel psyop. Um, and I guess it's to say, oh, but Julian Assange tried to warn them, so he's a good guy, and the government should give him a pardon. Well, isn't that a sign that he wasn't a threat to the establishment in the first place? This phone call was not adversarial. Adversarial. There was nothing tense during the conversation. Very, relaxed. No problem. and and this Cliff Johnson, the attorney at the U.S. State Department, he didn't seem too concerned about WikiLeaks or Julian Assange. And he just took it all in stride. And Julian Assange is very hard to listen to, very hard to follow and understand. But he was warning them about a rogue group that had left WikiLeaks and had access to some of the cables or something, and that they were going to release them. And Julian Assange, he said, well, I can get somebody from WikiLeaks to provide you with the key, to those files, to some of the files or something. So, it's just a ridiculous recording. And if people really think that WikiLeaks is the resistance to the establishment, and this just, I mean, if they think about it, this just shows WikiLeaks is just part of the establishment. So anyway, the China connection. So I used an expression in a previous video that all roads lead to Tiananmen Square, and they really do a lot of times, and that's how I understand the world, especially the sense of focusing on China. I understand my world by looking outside into the rest of the world and what's going on. And we're getting that treatment, that regime change treatment right now with the, I'm laughing, but Klaus Schwab World Economic Forum Great Reset, which includes COVID 9/11, but also climate crisis and defund the police, Black Lives Matter, identity politics is a big part of it. So I call this the mother of all regime changes, the mother of all color revolutions. And I've looked a lot at color revolutions and how they operate. And it's, they, in these countries, they make people so miserable and desperate for whatever relief. And I learned that especially looking at the revolution and the revolutions in the 1980s revolutions. regime change in the Soviet bloc in the 1980s, in particular Romania, which was a violent, very violent. Um, so to understand WikiLeaks, it's a regime change operation, as is Edward Snowden, Psyop, and Anonymous. And the number one target is China. Um, so WikiLeaks was the brainchild of Cass Sunstein. And this is an article that he wrote in 2007, just after WikiLeaks had been first mentioned in mainstream media in, I think 2006, late 2006. So this is early 2007, and he mentions WikiLeaks. And he says WikiLeaks.org, founded by dissidents in China and other nations, plans to post secret government documents and to protect them from censorship with coded software. So how does he know? So he became eventually Obama's propaganda czar, is what I called him. So, he's just announcing to the world that dissidents, which is regime code for regime change assets in China and other countries, are going to be working with WikiLeaks. So here we go. Here is Julian Assange in 2011. So this is before Cablegate. Our enemy is China. He says it right up front. He said it other places. I think I'll have to show you some other posts I've put on Twitter about China. Anyway, so this is an article from, I think this is from, the Australian, Weekend Australian. This is an Australian outlet. So, they named the Chinese dissidents. So these are three of the main names I've seen. There's also, so they're Tiananmen Square assets. Another one that's not mentioned here that I've heard is Liu Xiaobo. So he won a Nobel, he won the Nobel Peace Prize, which I call it the I call it the Nobel Neoliberal Prize, I think, because it's all about regime change, really, the recipients. So Liu Xiaobo, who passed away. I think he was in prison, I think, when he passed away in China. So Wang Dan, Xiao Qiang, and Wang Yukai. Those are the three names that you see in connection with WikiLeaks. So they were on the advisory board. So they helped Julian Assange create WikiLeaks. It also mentions here a representative of the Dalai Lama, who was a CIA asset, to break off Tibet. So Tiananmen Square was a CIA MI6 color revolution. And it almost succeeded. It could have succeeded easily. It could have succeeded the way they succeeded in the Soviet bloc in overthrowing those governments, but it failed. And they had trained hundreds of regime change assets. And there were protests, Tiananmen style protests, throughout China. So it wasn't just in Beijing. So they trained hundreds, and they whisked hundreds out of the country. I don't know. They probably trained a lot more, but they whisked hundreds out in Operation Yellowbird. And they were smuggled out through Hong Kong, which is where a lot of them have been smuggled to for the training. Smuggled out through Hong Kong, and then flew to France, and then some stayed there, some went to the UK, and others went to the US. So they were given education, network. They, here you're part of the club now. Ivy League schools, prestigious schools. At least one of them went to Sorbonne in France. That was their reward. So here's another article. This is from the Daily Beast. This is an article with Laura Poitras, who's connected to Edward Snowden. So she produced that film, Citizen4, about Edward Snowden, about when she and Glenn Greenwald and the guy from The Guardian, I can't remember his name, they flew to Hong Kong to meet with Edward Snowden Hong Kong CIA, no, Asia division of the CIA, Hong Kong. People, it was ridiculous. People saying, "Oh, Edward Snowden went to Hong Kong to escape the CIA," and going, "No, he didn't." That's where the CIA could help him. Yeah, in Hong Kong. So here, and then Laura Poitras made a film later about this film, Risk, about Julian Assange. And there's a clip where he and staffer Sarah Harrison are making the call to the State Department, trying to contact Hillary Clinton or some member of her staff. Uh, so here it mentions here Sarah Harrison, WikiLeaks editor and Assange's closest advisor. She also, yeah, so Sarah Harrison with WikiLeaks, she escorted Edward Snowden on a flight from Hong Kong to Moscow, um, supposedly, following the National Security Agency leaks, helping secure him political asylum. She is depicted in the film as Assange's staunchest supporter, hanging on his every word. So there is the WikiLeaks Edward Snowden connection. So Hong Kong, Asia division of the CIA. Hong Kong is a real thorn in the side of China. And so Snowden goes through Hong Kong. And there's the WikiLeaks connection. So Snowden's mission, so WikiLeaks is a honeypot, and it's you might get bits of truth, but it's mainly propaganda. A lot of it's propaganda, and the State Department cables really were propaganda, and it's to suck people in and make them think, oh, we're getting the truth. And State Department cables were just reflecting official propaganda, official narratives about countries targeted for regime change. So Snowden's mission was to demonize the NSA. He was a CIA contractor working in an NSA facility, and his mission was to demonize the government, demonize NSA in order to privatize mass surveillance, and then there's less oversight. Whenever anything is privatized, it's deregulated, really. So, as bad as NSA is, and the government can be, things are even worse when you deregulate. And so, yeah, the mass surveillance now is privatized. So we really don't know what's going on anymore. Let's see. So that is the China connection and Edward Snowden. There's more to the China connection than Edward Snowden, but all of these groups that cross promote, so Assange, WikiLeaks, Snowden, and other whistleblowers. Beware the term whistleblowers. Yeah, that's a red flag for me. Whenever somebody is called a whistleblower, I have to take a closer look. So these dissidents, what's interesting, I think, Xiao Chang, he spoke at the National Endowment for Democracy, which is the main CIA NGO. It's an NGO front for the CIA. Wang Dong was a main ringleader at Tiananmen Square. Wang Yukai was a main ringleader at Tiananmen Square. There were many. The other thing about what's his name? Xiao Chang. I didn't know this until this evening. He created this China Digital Times. I thought it was just a Chinese outlet. China Digital Times is based in California, so it is trying to. It's been blocked in China, the Great Firewall of China. So there's a internet firewall that China uses to block. They know there's a lot of propaganda from the West, and they don't, especially since Tiananmen Square, they don't want to deal with that. So China Digital Times tries to get through that firewall in China, And they have a Chinese language outlet too. So this is the English language one. And this mentions, here we go, there's another one. Ai Weiwei. Ai Weiwei is another, I call him a fartiste. He's a terrible artist. He really doesn't do anything. He just tells people to, this is what I want. And I honestly don't think he does any, he's not creative or anything. He just puts out propaganda. So this is back in 2015. So this is when he was still in China, in Beijing. So he and Jacob Applebaum, who is connected to Tor and to WikiLeaks, um, he and Laura Poitras of the Edward Snowden Psyop, they got together in Beijing and they were involved in some art project, supposedly. I don't know. It's all bullshit. Um, it's interesting that they were able to do that in Beijing. Um, yeah. So Ai Weiwei, he's Ai Weiwei. Ai Weiwei is also he recently. So these are, if this comes up. Oh yeah, this is a Twitter page with some things. So I learned that Ai Weiwei, he recently was in like a teleconference with Edward Snowden. Um, so it's they're in the same club. WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, Ai Weiwei. Ai Weiwei is constantly expressing support for Julian Assange. Has met with him at the embassy, um, and then was recently outside Belmarsh prison where Assange is supposedly being held. So Ai Weiwei, in a teleconference with Edward Snowden and a buddy of Julian Assange. So it's just a little club there, and Laura Poitras, the Edward Snowden director. So these are some things I was put. Oh, there's a lot of stuff I could go on and on about Julian Assange and Edward Snowden and WikiLeaks, and so Julian Assange, he got his start with probably with NSA and DARPA, which they're both, people don't realize NSA falls under the Pentagon. It falls under CIA too, and DARPA is a defense program, sort of an intelligence program. Um, oh yeah, so here's another. Um, I've posted a lot of stuff here. um, it's just fascinating, all this stuff. Uh, there was. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So Julian Assange, he gets other whistleblowers testifying for him. Yeah. Here's another article saying that. Uh, yeah, WikiLeaks wants to force to open up closed countries like China and Russia. There you go. He's said it this time and again, time and again. Yeah, anyway, I think that's about it for. But it's interesting that Ai Weiwei, he has recently put out a propaganda film about the coronavirus outbreak in China, and so he's blaming China and saying China lied and covered up. So it's called Corona Nation. Yeah, Corona, Coronation, Coronation. That's what it's called. It's called Coronation. So he made that. He's just put out another one called Cockroach about the Hong Kong protest last year, which was another color revolution. So he just pumps out propaganda constantly. I think it's weird that he's able to get these documentaries out so quickly. Um, okay, so I guess I'm just trying to give you an overview. I could go on and on, but anyway, lastly, anonymous. So there's a little search I did, and yeah, anonymous is not so well known. I call it CI anonymous, and Anonymous is better known in like Latin America, I think. They know when Anonymous is saying things about their country, like Nicaragua, look out. So Anonymous has been targeting China again. So they targeted TikTok, that app from China. Um, and they also, I noticed back in, I think this was 2014 during the Color Revolution, Anonymous was threatening China in support of that color revolution. So yeah, Anonymous targets China too. So China, China, China. It's always China. Um, so anyway, I hope that's just an overview. It's really hard uh, to kind of just summarize this, but China is the number one target, um, and Assange is a psyop, WikiLeaks is a psyop, Edward Snowden is a psyop, and Anonymous is a psyop. They're not challenging the establishment. They're just regime change assets. Um, and that's the way it is. And this ridiculous video from James O'Keefe and Project Veritas just kind of says it all. You know, they're featured in mainstream media. Julian Assange has gotten op-eds published in mainstream media. He gets flattering coverage in mainstream media. I had a photo shoot with um, um, Pamela Anderson, and Lady Gaga visited him and interviewed him at the embassy. Um, and he wasn't staying at the embassy. You know, he had diplomatic status basically, so he could leave under diplomatic cover, probably to a flat nearby, a luxury flat nearby. And he had contractors hired to spy on his guests. Yes, Edward Snowden, he's featured in mainstream media. They interview him. Um, it's ridiculous to say that these people are anti establishment. They're just cognitive infiltrators, and they're just pulling a fast one on everybody. Anyway, I guess that's all I want to say for now. I think I covered everything. Lots to cover. I could have said a lot more, but that sums it up. I'll go into more another time about WikiLeaks and Edward Snowden. But anyway, thanks for your patience, and I will talk to you again soon.